Hey everybody, it's Robert Phoenix broadcasting to you live from Fredericksburg, Texas. Got a bit of a delay here today, but we're gonna live with it. That's the way it goes. That's the way it is. Is that the way it will be? Sure as hell hope not. Just getting ready to get that stream connected over on the 15-minute side, and once that comes through, it'll be connected over to the YouTube side, and the 15 Minutes of Flame network will be linked up. I got a guest visitor here today in the studio. I have to admit, I got a guest visitor today. It's Rosie. Rosie is in the Jasper position today, aren't you? Yeah, you are. So Rosie's in the Jasper position, and she's hanging out. Let me just check YouTube, see what's going on over there. YouTube's got it's got the test pattern. There's Judy. Good morning. There's Liz Licious, all the way from the other side of the world. Hi, Loren. My nephew and his wife had their first child this morning. How about that? Congratulations. Wonderful. Wonderful news. Wonderful news. It's good to have a few miracles on this planet. If you like the broadcast, go ahead and hit that little the thumbs up. Hey, it's Marie Olmstead. Hi, Marie. Justice is in the house. Congratulations again, Isla. That's wonderful news. Really wonderful news. All right, let me do a little quick refresh over here on the YouTube side, see what happens. See if I can see my face. If I can see my face. Oh, yes, there's my face. How about that? All right, I think we're linked up. All systems are go. Even though I'm a little behind today for some reason on... Okay, my God, I look at all the options here for Wi-Fi. Oh my God, I got, including mine, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 22 options for Wi-Fi. It's quite a few. Oh, you going? Oh, Rosie's taking off. All right, see you later, Rosie. All right, why don't we get this thing rolling with the latency and all. It's okay. We're going to roll with it. Tomorrow I might do something a little bit different, but today is today. So, a lot going on out there. The last time that I checked in with you guys was, let's see, it was Sunday night. Did a Sunday night show. It was a pretty good show. We got into the charts of Ilhan Omar and John McAfee and Jackie Onassis, Ari Onassis. What happened with potentially Trump, Washington, D.C., some of this activity that was going around in the Capitol. Of course, everything that's being highlighted right now is this debate around Baltimore. So I want to talk a little bit about that because today's show title is really about the demise of the American city. And we're going to get back to the rise of the Infesticons tomorrow because there's a lot more that I want to cover, not just what happened with the former Soviet Union. And by the way, let me be clear. Let me be clear here. I don't believe there was any Russiagate. I do believe that Russia has been involved in information gathering and deep psychological operations in this country for a very long time. And the Democratic left is probably about 40 years too late to make any real use out of it. So they'll just pick up the old canard and try to beat it into our heads. But I think the Russiagate stuff is a bunch of bullshit. And to be honest with you, if you really, and I've said this before, and if you have not heard me be on the public record, the real meddling at that time, in my estimation, probably came from our friends in the Middle East. There are two examples that I'll give you here. Number one was the example of John. What's his name? I always forget his name. The general who's in hot water. I always forget his name. I always want to say Kelly, but it's not Kelly. Oh man, I'm having a moment. He's got a trial going on. Come on, Robert Flynn. Thank you. Right here. Okay. So Flynn was already talking to the Obama administration before Trump had ever set foot into office. Why? Because Flynn had been told by none other than Jared Kushner, who, by the way, is Trump's biggest Achilles heel. He'll never get rid of him. Trump is really big on loyalty. I think it's probably an arranged marriage, to be honest with you. It's got to be an arranged marriage. He's one of the most unimpressive people on the surface that I've seen. And Ivanka Trump is a freaking hot rod, okay? She's like a Ferrari Testarossa. And I don't think Ivanka is stupid. I think she's pretty smart. And apparently she played a pretty significant role in helping her father with The Apprentice and having it become an extremely successful TV show. She got involved in the business. She's not a dummy. She's not a dummy at all. So why would she be connected to that nebbish Jared Kushner? I think it's an arranged marriage. I don't think Trump can do much about it. I think he's there. He's supposed to be there. He's inserted. Trump probably is begrudgingly dealing with the kid. That's my sense. Who knows? Maybe he loves him to high heaven because he loves his daughter. I don't know. I'm not privy to Donald Trump's emotional frequency. But he's a liability, and I'll talk more about that. But what he did, what Jared Kushner did, was that he told Flynn to go to Russia. So Trump was not president yet. So Flynn, who'd been fired by Obama, by the way, Obama did not like Flynn because Flynn, fairly honest and more of an army guy than Obama would ever be. So he got kicked to the curb by Obama. So he's got to go to Obama. This is the guy that fired him now. Remember that. And he asked Obama, will it be breaking any constitutional or electionary laws if he goes to Russia ahead of time to find out how the Russians are going to vote on a particular UN resolution. Supposedly, this is what Jared Kushner tasked him to do. And Obama, of course, oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. You'll be fine. Just go. Go. So he goes. And he goes to ask the Russians how they're going to vote on this UN resolution as it relates to Israel. I'm sure they have their own secret back doors and other ways of signaling each other. I'm not sure why, if that was really the case, why he went. That said, that's where the meddling theoretically began. That's where it theoretically began. On one level, he went there specifically at the behest of Jared Kushner in Israel. And he got busted for it. He lied. He tried to protect whoever he was trying to protect. His own ass, the president. He was done. And quite frankly, he was probably set up by Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner was playing a couple of moves ahead and got him out. Flynn's a nationalist. Jared Kushner's a globalist. Jared Kushner's a Zionist. I don't think Flynn is. So you got kicked to the curb. The other level of collusion came with what I believe was Seth Rich, and this is my belief. I believe that Seth Rich more than likely worked for the Mossad, or he was what's called a Psionim. And a Psionim is somebody who does not have any intelligence connections, but is willing to do work on behalf of the Mossad or the nation state. And they're called in to do something. Seth Rich spent a fair amount of time in Israel, in kibbutz, and went to a school. Where did he go? He went to, was it Drake or Duquesne? He went to a Jesuit school, got his degree of political science, but he had very strong ties to Israel. And I believe Seth Rich went into and infiltrated the DNC. That's what I think. He infiltrated the DNC. He got in, and he was the guy that dumped all of that information over to WikiLeaks. And that information, if Trump was on the fence at that point, if there was going to be a push between he and Hillary Clinton, it's clear that that information made an impact. That information was exposed and talked about ad infinitum on the Alex Jones network, on InfoWars, with Alex Jones and Roger Stone being the mouthpieces that essentially made that information go viral. And eventually it was picked up by Fox. Sean Hannity at that time was looking like he was an alt-right conspiracy theorist. He even had an interview with a hologram of Julian Assange at one point. Seth Rich theoretically was killed. I don't believe that. I believe that Seth Rich was extracted, and he's probably living somewhere else under a different identity or assumed name. So if there's any meddling that came into the election, I think it's coming from a different direction. Okay, but nobody wants to go there. Nobody want to talk about it. Nobody even talk about Seth Rich. Whether you believe that Seth Rich is alive or not, nobody wants to talk about Seth Rich. You know, the big name that was dropping was Guccifer 2. Total LARP. Total LARP. Nobody wants to talk about Seth Rich, whether he's alive or not. I think he's alive. That's just my 2 cents. His parents were so freaking weird after that whole thing. The whole thing was weird. And his brother, who apparently was involved with him, that he was doing stuff with Seth Rich, was the strangest of the bunch. Strangest of the lot. You couldn't help him but laugh. He was laughing. His brother was laughing. So that's my position on the collusion piece. Do I think Russia meddles? Absolutely. Absolutely. Russia's meddling 24/7. China's meddling 24/7. MI6 and the Crown of England. There's meddling going on all the time. Why do you think we live in such a confused, fucked up, chaotic, upside down world? There's meddling going on all the time. We can't live peaceful lives. We can't live productive lives because every single day the signal is being hacked over and over again. So yeah, there's meddling going on. Of course there is. It's been going on for a long time. It's just it's under a different guise. I mean, if you were foreign interest, wouldn't you want to destabilize America? Wouldn't that be in your best interest? Not destabilize to the point where it's completely non-functional, because people buy a lot of shit here, right? They buy a lot of stuff. Is that stain on my collar? No, it's part of the shirt. It's a new shirt. I'm getting used to this. It's a very odd marking. I don't remember that being there. Sorry, I'm having a moment with my shirt. It wasn't there before. Sad about. Anyway. Yeah, you want to destabilize this place because if people are destabilized, they're led around by their noses, and they watch the most stupid shit. They eat the most stupid shit. They listen to the most stupid shit. They don't take care of themselves. They're chasing after immediate gratification. They're seeking status on social networks, Twitter, Facebook. I've really cut back on Facebook. I barely post on my Facebook page. I've got a group now. It's my astrology group, but I hardly ever post on Facebook now. It's because number one, I'm kind of tired of Facebook, to be honest with you. There's a lot of churn and Sturm und Drang. Does anything ever get done? No. So I'm using Facebook in terms of groups with the Clean Water Fredericksburg group and the 11th House group. That's where my activity is going on. Focused, concentrated work. If Facebook is going to give us the platform for it, I'll do it. But as far as my own page goes, I'm just not doing it. Not that much. Maybe what I'll do is every now and then share some posts. But a lot of people that are into the information that I'm sharing they're already in the 11th house. Much to the chagrin of some of the people who really like astrology, because a lot of the meta stuff shows up there. I almost wish that there'd be more astrology, to be honest with you, because I need to make a living as an astrologer, and I think that sometimes my politics turn people off. That's just the way it is. That's how it goes. Anyway, that's my position on the meddling stuff and quote-unquote Russia Gates, which is another form of distraction. Look who's here. It's the man. The man, the myth, the meow. It's Jasper. So today's show is about the demise of American cities. And before I do that, before I get into this, I want to show you guys a tweet. I want to show you a tweet before I get into it. You got to check this tweet out. So it almost feels like I could have two shows today because there's a ton of stuff going on. Like I wanted to talk about the Gilroy thing, which I think is another stinking pile of horse manure. That guy Santino, he doesn't even exist. He doesn't exist. He's got a basically pop-up social media profile, but if you do a search with all of the various identity name searches, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, doesn't show up. Does not show up. Again, there's a ton of holes in the story. Of course, he's got a manifesto. It's just, again, it's all just right out of fucking central casting bullshit. And I watched the video of the father of the kid who got killed. My God, bizarre. Well, look it up. Look up the video. It's totally bizarre. He makes Robbie Parker look like Sir John Gielgud. Okay, bad actor. Really, really bad actor. Anyway, let me show you this tweet because there's a lot going on now. I think stuff is cooking underneath on the Epstein front. Here's this tweet from Dershowitz. Check this out. I stand by the constitutional, not moral argument I offered in my controversial op-ed. If a 16-year-old has the constitutional right to have an abortion without state or parental influence, how could she not have the constitutional right to engage in consensual sex? Mr. Dershowitz caught a lot of heat. He caught a lot of heat over that tweet. So he tweeted again. I challenge my readers to distinguish the cases as a matter of constitutional law. I did not suggest that it is moral to have sex with a 16-year-old, but rather that the issue presents a constitutional conundrum worthy of discussion. Alan, what are you trying to do there? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to pave the way so that you can get out of whatever kind of damage you've done to a 16-year-old? He's caught a ton of heat on Twitter. A ton. A lot. So apparently there is, as the kids say, a shit ton happening. Let's see. Good morning, Luann. Hey, Luann. There's Tim. Hey, good morning, Tim. Nice to see you. Was that when Flynn and Jill Stein had dinner with Putin? There's that picture. Oh, Jill Stein, who works for the CIA. Probably a double agent, no doubt. What a, she got? I think she got. Did she get 10% of the vote? I think she got 10% of the vote, or she got her. If you get 10% of the vote, you get to keep your. There's something about your political expenses that's important with that 10% of the vote. Anyway, I have heard. I cannot confirm this, but I have heard that William Jefferson Clinton has been taken out of circulation. There are rumors that he is not ticking anymore. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've heard. And you guys are great excavators, so you could probably sort through some of that material. That's what I've heard. Keep your eye on the Clintons and their public appearances or lack thereof. Hillary has not been seen for a while, and Bill has been making appearances, but there's a lot going on here. I think things are heating up beneath the surface, and Epstein is the accelerant. So that's just on that front. Okay, I just wanted to throw that stuff out there. Now I want to talk about what's going on with America's cities. So last night I went to an event in Austin, and it's a group of people that meets once a month, and they're called Texans for Accountable Government. And this was a group that started when Ron Paul ran for president. So it's kind of a Ron Paul, libertarian, Austin, Texas group. And there's a lot of different people there. There are people there that are for constitutional carry. There are people there who want to change the cannabis laws. There are people there who are anti-big government. So it's kind of an interesting pastiche of political ideologies, nonpartisan for the most part. So it's very interesting, people that were actually gathered there by ideas and not parties, which I thought was pretty cool. And they meet once a month, so we went there to take our Clean Water Fredericksburg platform to these folks because they're very good at helping other groups. And they were very helpful with the San Marcos people when it came to San Marcos and their fight against the city of San Marcos to remove the fluoride. In fact, Sam Brandon from San Marcos made the introduction. So we went there last night, and they're going to help us out. It's really great. Very cool. I'm telling you, support is a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. If you don't know what real support is like, real support, then you are malnourished. And I think we all are. I think we're all malnourished when it comes to real, vital support. And it's fantastic when you have it. And unfortunately, we've been so atomized with our families and our communities, our groups, our lives, that real support is very difficult to come by. Most people don't know how to handle it when it actually comes into their life. It was great. So basically they said, hey, this is a group, a political action group, and they nominated a measure to give us a donation between $500 to $1,000. They also made a measure to help us block walk and do some phone bank calling. Holy smokes. And they didn't even think about it. They were right there. Let's do this. Let's make it happen. Incredible. And this is what's missing in our society and in our lives, that kind of cohesiveness. Now, I do want to say that that group, when we went in there last night, felt like they were running on fumes. And maybe, just maybe, us being there might have helped them sort of become a bit more cohesive. But one of the things that came out of that meeting was the fact that Austin is headed very rapidly towards the path of extinction and obliteration that Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Baltimore, that they've all hurtled towards and are now firmly encamped in the third rung of hell. What Austin recently did is Austin passed an ordinance that essentially allows homeless people to camp anywhere there's a public space in the city of Austin. A public space. Now, here's what I found out. I found out that the homeless are being bussed into Austin, just like the homeless are being bussed into places like Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Oakland. They're being bussed in there. They're being bussed in. Why? Well, it's because these cities have been set up in such a way by their so-called liberal leadership and progressive government so that they can do pretty much whatever they want. There are public services that they can tap into, but they're basically given free roam of the city. I also believe that they're being used, that the homeless are being weaponized against the American population. The homeless create a sense of despair, demoralization, decrepitude, and that feeling pervades the city. How can you have civic pride? How can you feel good about where you live? You can't. Every street corner, somebody's banging on you for money. You walk around, you'll find needles. There's this guy who ran the meeting last night, Cargill. He says every morning he's got a shop down in South Austin. He's got a shop down there. He's got to scoop up the needles and the human feces every single morning. He's got to clean the streets. He's got to clean his storefront because of what happens during the night. And this is an epidemic. It's not just happening in Baltimore. It's all over the United States, and it is planned. It is planned. Now, I believe that the people that are being bussed in are a part of groups who are actually getting paid. And this is a really important piece of investigative journalism that I think needs to happen. Who are these people? How are they getting here? And who is profiting from it? Now, one of the things that's come up now as a result of this is that there have been homeless people in Austin that have been living and homeless for 4, 5, 6 years. And now there's this new wave of homelessness coming in. And there are turf wars. There are turf wars for their little shanty lean-tos. And so now you've got the old homeless at war with the new homeless. Talk about divide and conquer. It's even seeping into the homeless situation. So there's a common theme here. The common theme are the mayors who I believe are liberal, progressive, Luciferic mayors. And they're all part of a group that has been assigned, and as again, we talk about the infestation, the mayoral points of every city in America have become choke points. Ted Wheeler, who is the mayor of Portland, also happens to be the police commissioner. Did you know that? He holds both titles because that's the way the charter is in the city of Portland. You people in Portland should change that shit muy pronto. I'm not sure you're going to be able to, though. They're part of a group, they're part of a network, and they've been used to infiltrate the cities of America, the choke points of America. That's what they're there to do. They're there to implement Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. And I brought this up last night at this meeting. I didn't say much, but I asked people there at the meeting if they knew what Cloward Piven was. 2 people raised their hand. And this was a room of maybe 30 people. Two people, and I'm not bagging on him, but if you don't know what Cloward Piven is or who Cloward Piven were, you should probably study up on it because that's what's happening in America right now. It's what's happening at the borders. It's what's happening in American cities. Cloward and Piven were two Ivy League sociologists. They were professors. And right after, right after the Great War on Poverty that Lyndon Baines Johnson enacted, they decided to use the system to break the system. They focused on New York City. They were working with a so-called black activist who was stirring up the so-called black community in New York. They were working with the unions to create strikes. So New York was one steaming, heaping pile of garbage, literally during that time, because there were strikes with the garbage workers. The garbage workers were being led around by their noses by the union leaders. The union leaders basically communists. This is the way it is. And unions aren't necessarily a bad thing. My father was a teamster, but Henry Ford knew the score around unions. He did not want to unionize Ford. Henry Ford was actually treated his people pretty well. He gave them living wages. I mean, he wasn't necessarily beloved, but he wasn't a total cruel fascistic prick that the media. I think Henry Ford is underrated, to be honest with you. The guy has some interesting ideas. He had a cuck for a son, though. Edsel was a cuck. He was a total cuck. Even Henry Ford was a cuck. But that's a different story altogether. Anyway. So I listened to these people talk about what's going on in Austin. It's bad. It's really, really bad. But the homeless are being weaponized. Migrants, refugees are being weaponized. They're being used to break the system. This is what happened in New York with Cloward and Piven. John Lindsay was the mayor of New York City, and they made his life a living hell. And they bankrupted New York City. They were successful because at that time, there weren't a ton of people on welfare. Welfare was very new. They went out and they went door to door to door to canvass and tell people, you need to get on welfare. You need to get on welfare. Well, I don't really want welfare. Doesn't matter. They were strong-arming and pressuring people to get on welfare because they wanted them to break the system. Then they were using the strikes to slow down and break the system because if you're striking, you can't generate any money. There's no money. People aren't getting paid. They're getting their stupid little union stipend, which is about a third of what they would normally make. They're not going to go out. They're not going to spend. The city, theoretically can't charge for the services that they would normally charge for. Or if they do, the people will protest because they're not getting any. I mean, they were doing the exact same thing that at times this government does to foreign governments. They put sanctions on them and do all kinds of crazy shit. That's what happened. Cloward Piven broke the system. They used the system against the system. They did it. They were successful. They were very, very successful. And that's what's happening with the homeless in America now. They're being deployed. They're being deployed across all these cities. And now what's happening is there are a bunch of stand-down orders that are being given by all these various mayors. Like, look what happened in New York when they said, oh, yeah, you can go ahead and throw water at the cops. Told the cops, you can't do anything. You got to stand down. What do the cops do in Portland? Nothing. You got to stand down. Stand down. Last night they were talking about, in terms of the homeless and it's kind of the indigent problem and the level of citations that were given. Some guy last night was talking about how the homeless shouldn't be hassled because it's not their fault. And, they have the right to the land and the property. And the guy said, the guy who ran the meeting said, do you know how many people were given citations last year for homeless, all of last year? He said no. He said four. Four citations. So there's a level of enabling going on, and it's across the board. It's Seattle, it's Portland, it's San Francisco, it's Los Angeles, it's Austin, it's New York City, and they're basically telling the police not to do anything. They're telling the police to stand down. We saw this with the movie Seattle is Dying. The police don't arrest anybody. The mayor of Seattle has said don't arrest anybody. Talk to them, give them a warning, turn them loose. And if they are arrested, they've been arrested 35 to 40 times over about a 3 to 4 year period. So how effective is that? It's not effective at all. So this is a strategy. And the strategy goes back to that D word, demoralization. But it's also part of the Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. So we have a problem. America has a homeless problem. And it's big. And it's going to get bigger. And it's going to be exacerbated due to the fact that the cities are going to allow the homeless to shit, piss, and shoot their junk or do their drugs wherever they want. The police have been told not to do anything, to stand down. So there is a feeling of powerlessness and helplessness that's being promoted throughout these cities. So what do we have now? We have a first line, front line breakdown of order, and the absolute tearing of the social fabric. That's what's going on. It's a problem. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. What's the reaction? Well, people last night were up in arms. They were like, well, let's recall the mayor. Well, good luck on that, because they'll have another McMayor waiting in the wings, willing to do whatever the hell he's told. They've got a city council who are loaded to the gill with people that support and reinforce the policies of the mayor. And the mayor's policies. Those are Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 Smart Cities policies. That's what they are. And I said last night, I said, you're dealing with this you're dealing with the symptom. You're dealing with this from a symptomatic level. You're not getting to the cause. And I said that Austin, the city of Austin's got a 20 to 30 year plan that they're implementing right now. And the problem here is that you're reacting in real time to something they've already moved on from. Right? They've already moved on from it. They're way down the line on this shit. So if you want to tackle these people and stop these people, you probably have to take much more extreme measures. Much more. What the state of Texas has extremely high property taxes, very, very high. About the only way I think that you could probably derail the city of Austin, or any major American city for that matter, is for everybody to stop paying their property taxes. That's about the only way you could do it. But you'd have to all do it together. You'd have to say, fuck that, fuck you, we're not paying our property taxes. You want to take our homes back? Come get them. This is not a representative government. That's about the only thing I think you could do. Either that, or they have various districts in Austin, and inside the district, you may vote to secede from the city. You could probably do that. I think that's probably possible. I'm not sure there's much more that can be done at this point, because they're way down the line. And watching this I was watching people who were extremely frustrated, who were angry, who were upset. And these were people who had been around city government for a very long time, knew the players, knew what they were doing. They were talking about this new bullshit soccer team that Austin has. It's an MLS team. And they fast-tracked it, and they got the land, and They're gonna raise up the rates for everything so that they can build this stadium. And apparently, the mayor's wife bought a bunch of land around where the stadium's going to be, and she's going to make a shitload of money owning that land, owning those properties where they're going to have brew pubs and bars and foodie shit. So make a ton of money. That's how the game works. That's totally how it works. These people were frustrated. They were tired, stretched thin. What are they going to do? They lost their city. Most of the cities in America are lost. And it's by design. Because what the reaction is, oh my God, this is terrible. We've got a problem. We've got a problem. We've got a problem. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's one reaction. There's a lot of reactions. Disgust, demoralization, anger, empathy. Everybody thinks about, how tough it is to be homeless. It's not easy to be homeless in America. It's not easy to be homeless, period. But it's not easy, especially during the summer where it's scorching hot. So yeah, it's good to have empathy for these people, because they're for the grace of God go I. However, that said, they're also creating a huge burden on the city and on the populace. And they want to make they have this thing called the Arch, and it's a disaster. And they want to build another one in the southern part of the city, which is supposedly a place where homeless can go. It's really bad. And the city owns a Home Depot that's abandoned. Huge Home Depot that's abandoned. And they could turn that place into a really amazing homeless shelter. If they really wanted to tackle the homeless problem, they just go in and retrofit that Home Depot. Austin makes a shitload of money. They can go to UT, they can go to a bunch of donors, and they can turn that thing around into a place where people maybe could get their lives back. Have gardening, building stuff, living structures, living quarters, counseling. Home Depots are huge. And they own one. And it's vacant. They're not using it for anything. So they're not doing this. They're doing this on purpose because the homeless is being weaponized. They're being weaponized. And what will happen is that the problem is going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And it's going to get worse. And it's going to get worse. And ultimately, the solution will come. Here's what I think the solution will be. My solution will be the universal wage, the universal living wage. And that everybody will get something, including the homeless. I think that housing, as we know it, will be obsolete. I believe that single unit housing, they're not building new homes in California. Builders are not being granted permits. It's still happening here in Texas. But I assume that at some point that'll cease. And what'll happen is that eventually everybody, instead of raising the homeless population up, everybody will be reduced to slightly above that level. And it'll be the share economy. Nobody will own anything. That's how you get rid of poverty. Nobody owns anything. How could you be impoverished if there's no disparity of goods and wages? There won't be. Everybody will get the same. Nothing will be owned. You'll be able to use things, but you won't own them. You won't own your living space. You won't own your vehicle. You won't even own your clothes. And this is one of the reasons why we're being indoctrinated into things like Airbnb and Turo and Uber and Lyft. It's all about the share. So they're getting people used to the share economy. I got a massage yesterday. It was great. I haven't had a massage in a year. It was in Austin. And the gal who gave me the massage said, "Oh, you got a really nice neighborhood here." We're like, "Oh yeah, well, we've got all these Airbnb places on our street now." That's not a neighborhood. That's not a neighborhood. That's not people walking down the street. Hi, how are you? How's it going? How are you doing? How's your kid? Seeing their dog, making sure that their dog doesn't shit on your lawn. Those sorts of things. That's going away. So what you have is you have these structures. You have people come in, you have people come out. A very different relationship. They may nod or wave, but they're not doing anything. They're in the house, they're partying, they're on the computer, or they're taking a Lyft or an Uber to some cool hipster joint inside of Austin, and they're coming back, and they're not going to have anything to do with you. Community gardens, community functions, block parties, forget it. Thing of the past. So what they're doing is they're engineering people's psyches to accept this reality. And the homeless are going to be that wedge. The homeless crisis is going to be really significant. Really, really significant. That's when we're going to have, let's see, South Node in, what do we got? South Node in Sag is coming up. South Node in Scorpio. South Node in Libra. I'd say Scorpio. Because when we get into South Node of Scorpio, we're dealing with money. Other people's money, interest rates. Yeah. It's about 3 years from now. It's about 3 years from now. That's right when we get into the Pluto return for the United States. Anyway, it was very disheartening in a lot of ways. Very heartening in the sense that here was a group, they were like the Minutemen, and they decided to come to our side and support us. And I'm really grateful for that. And it was very, very chilling, eye-opening, and mind-blowing to see where these people are with the city of Austin, what the city of Austin is actually doing. And to see that it's not just the city of Austin, that it's in all these various cities all around the country. It's planned. It's planned demolition. Planned demolition of American cities. Apparently, speaking of cities, here in Texas, San Antonio has got their own new Green Deal. Green New Deal they're working on. That's the next thing that cities are going to be doing. They're just going to bypass the federal government. They're just going to bypass it. They're going to start doing their own new Green Deals. Because, of course, they've got their Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 goals to be met. So they keep getting their funding, so they can keep their jobs, so they can get all their little slushy funds, so they can get all the inside deals with business, so they can have their gated communities, their golden perches, while everything else in their cities turns to third world shit. That's the plan. And eventually, they flip the script, bring in the universal wage, bring in the share economy, and make one kind of flat spectrum of economy and social scale for everyone. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. But I do think we'll wind up seeing really, really significant changes by 2028, 2030. That's my sense. To be honest with you, I think 2024, 2025 is a really big time. Really big time. 2024 is when we have that second great American eclipse. And I don't think we begin to get out of the woods until 2028, 2029, 2030. So we're talking, 11 years from now? A lot's going to happen between now and then. A lot. So anyway, I just wanted to give you an update and give you my sense as to what's happening in America's cities and how they've been weaponized and how they've become the choke point for the resistance. And I'm not talking about the resistance against the insane programs that they're implementing. No, it's the resistance against the people of the United States of America. And that's what's happening. All right, let me check in with you guys, see where you're at. Let's see. A lot of chatter in there about the baby. Good. I'm glad. Should give her a lot of chatter. It's good. We need good stuff. The poverty come to everyone except even a smaller number of elites. Yep. That's right. Absolutely. So let's see what else we have here. Hey Charles, what's going on, man? How are things on the road, brother? Hey, there's Efsani. The arch is the worst idea I've ever seen. College kids drinking next to drug-addicted homeless. Yep, got that right. There's so many weapons being used against the people in every setting, large cities, small towns. Yeah, you know, they're doing it here in Fredericksburg, to be honest with you, a little bit. You know, they got their own thing going on. Their own envisioning vis-a-vis the city manager. City managers are not, they're not hired, they're not elected officials. By law, they don't even have to meet with you. They don't. They just do what they do. And they're the henchmen for the 2030 program, Agenda 2030 program. So we got our work cut out for us. And the best thing we can do is to stay connected and to make sure that we can, at the very least, exchange information and support one another. There's a lot of support going on in the chat room right now. There's a baby born. It's a miracle. It's a wonderful thing. And it's great. Just, you know, people, it's in there. Yeah, you know, what I'm talking about is meaningful. I think it is. But a miracle has entered into our lives through one of our chat room members. It's a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. All right. I'll be back tomorrow. And we'll get more into this idea about the mayors. More about the mayors and the infestation of the mayors. Because it's worth looking into. We'll get into that tomorrow. All right. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. You can find me over at robertphoenix.com, where you can find out more about the Hill Country Harvest and Harvest Moon. We're going to be having an event here, and a number of people have signed up. And I'll be sending out the information where you guys can get your rooms. We had about 4 or 5 people, so I'll be sending that link out after today's show. In the meantime, use your head to discern what's real, your heart too, stay as possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. Take good care of yourself. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.